Episode 13. I count myself lucky that I've gotten this far, and I also count myself lucky if anybody's listening. Carrying on from last week, I will read some more poetry from the time when I would go out every weekend or so if I was free and just find somewhere to be. Park Lee. In the early morning hours, just as the winter sun was rising, there were people moving hurriedly in practice preparation. Trucks of clothes and electronics danced for market merchandising, music on, tarpaulins off, a sense of new anticipation. I walked, a stranger to the happenings, down overcrowded aisles of leather, books, shoes, radios and watches, pictures, videos, some food outlets and plants, old friends that chatted with wide smiles as fruit and veg was sold, and trucks removed as the tension grows. Quite slow at first, the crowds moved in and stared about the market's fair, looked for the things they needed, then were trapped by all the colour, lights, the sounds and smells, the movement and the bargains hanging everywhere. Myself, I only had the feeling of the merchants in my sights. In suffocation, then, I left Parkley just as the traffic grew and noted that I'd seen the market that latecomers never knew. Wildflower gardens. Grey, sooty black and green, the colours of the bush this hue through winter's lack of growth and summer's quenchless need for rain. I see the sprouts that never shot, the buds that flowers held too dear, and I see birds that search for seeds and life, then fly away in vain. I walk the white grey sandy paths along the valley, and I drink the air of death and old decay that many footprints could not harm. Some colour blushes softly, hidden, but sometimes I like to think that time stands still too long to change the air I breathe, so calm. Move on, climb sandstone steps onto the ridge, the olive far away untouched by flames, so dotted subtly with the brush of coming spring. The sun shines winter cold and hidden out beyond the clouds all day, and there's a sense of waiting wafting over rocks and everything. Some call it civilization, from the gates of gardens out and on, and there I live my weeks in dreams that try to keep this atmosphere within my head, the winter hold on wildlife. But when I have gone, there's nothing to replace that waiting I will always sense from here. I hear the traffic calling me to leave, and I'm a slave to time, so I will save reflections for another dream, another rhyme. Palm Beach. There's no sign of reality, grey day trickling in with the low tide waves, hopeful riders lining in the breakers, eyeing off the sky with disdain as the slow set makes its way in, dumper close, and the weather misbehaves enough some seek the trees for comfort with a whinge about oncoming rain. I'm attracted to the salt smell filling everything. I've no use for the sun or wild white water dreams and boards and sand that shimmers in the light. Where everyone had tired of riding, never reaching shore, I've just begun to take it all in, drink the sea in all its beauty, out beyond a poet's sight. Low ripples grow, surf cancer with the tide comes crashing so widely in a crescent wave that breaks in rolls around the beach you'd carved away, surrounded by high house-filled cliffs that live to line this strip so thin, the road that leads away the beach, and all this sea and sky of grey. I'm thinking like a visitor again. They live in wait and watch that sea all day and night to catch it at its best, not leaving it like me. Avalon. Once more the salt, yet different scented is this beach. Anticipation as the waves come tumbling in, white water monsters grasping riders out of reach, and this is where a Sunday's surf watch should begin. Still winter wetsuits warm the warriors that stride the orange sand, still rain-kissed, drying by degrees. Some few half-naked there show cold early tans with pride and shiver with the chiding of an onshore breeze. There's more that sit and watch than swim, that's nothing new. The walkers, parents, loved ones lined along the shore and fighting with the lifeguards for a better view of waves that pound the waiting beach forevermore. The dancers do their ballet from each curling crest that hurls the force of oceans hard against the sand, and dreamers watch and fly above and do their best to feel involved in something they can't understand. Outsiders come for reasons that a circus lives, to share the daring that we know we'll never do, with all the satisfaction watching surfers gives. In honesty, a poet wouldn't have a clue. Coleroy. Light rain, cool change, wet sand. So strange to be standing here again, swatting blowflies now and then, in the spring of my regret for things that haven't happened yet. Long beach, slight waves, high sea behaves, and the surfers line the shore and search for swell for evermore. Traffic slowly passing by, watching waves and staying dry. One beach, no choice. Seagull gives voice to the thoughts within my head, and another hazy thread that's wound around my heart today that the waves won't wash away. Dark sky, low cloud, waiting. A small crowd cling to boards that won't get wet in the sloppy high tide set, and my heart is with them still, grey without an act of will. Look out to sea, seagulls, waves, me, and all waiting for the sky to break, or till our senses come awake, within the realm of orange sand that only waxies understand. Rise, waves, break, sun, no longer alone, I have become myself again within the flow of surfing men, and all the words that I would say can never turn the tide away. North of Oka. I walk the point, that high-born, wind-blown finger pointing out to sea of north of Oka, staring out past open ocean, rocks below. The land was soiled with houses, but there's no one up as high as me, and I see the miles of beach and the waves that wander to and fro. When had I felt so lonely? Seagulls never deigned to cry so high, or so fenced in. For my own good, I hear the local council say, up here is freedom. Who would take away that right to jump, to die? I see the wind agrees, it wants to take such worried words away. Each year I've come to somewhere new up here. I take a different turn and find another paradise beside the sea I'll have to leave. This is the place I want to be, the sound of waves for which I yearn, the dreams of salty breath and wind spray that my nights cannot retrieve. Dear loneliness, so high above the things I want to leave behind, upon a clear blue summer's day escape when I need nothing more. I know you're just a headland in the sea that wets my city mind, or else I'm just a wave that cannot break and will not know a shore. Avalon. I didn't notice autumn lay its leaves down deep to sleep. I didn't feel the weather change, hear summer say goodbye. I only saw the greyer clouds over beaches, and the surfies weep at wind and waves too strong, and sand too orange to be dry. I looked out on the lonely seagulls, and a board so brave it stayed on peaks for moments, till the anger of the sea brought it down. White crest, unbridled power for which others not heard crave. The eyes that watched could only hope the fool then didn't drown. I'd some to feel the sea spray, see if absence makes a change. She'd come to watch her hero there if he should come to grief. I'd fear to watch so closely someone known to me. How strange that seeing them fly so high and smiling wouldn't be relief. The storm that threatened closed until I had to walk away, a smile without true sharing as she looked back out to sea. The waves came in, the surfers bobbed along in shades of grey, and everyone had stayed the same inside, except for me. The wind and rain that blow me off the beach feel on my heart. I'd like to ride those storms in life, but don't know where to start. North Head. Sheer cliffs delight, the harbour opens out in blue on blue foreverness, green dotted heights and white world deepness. North Head, the passing sails and sound of birds beyond the rails, and South Head looks all that much closer, though it's bigger than imagined, of the rocks that guard the harbour and the towers in the distance from the sea's flat blue insistence. Then there's me amongst the salt brush, seeking words that couldn't mean much to the music all around. This secret hideaway I've found is mine for moments, and I'm bound to throw away the best illusions as too weak, too pale, too small, too hollow, against the backdrop to a curtain where two shades of blue's horizon shakes these broken free foundations to the sea below. The wind that whipped away the sand between now buffets me. The sunken crags beneath I see encrusted, and eternally they're pounded unrelentingly. A harsh and always seeking sea on milder days will make this stretch to dance in high dark crests of white-capped greyness. But not today. A calm blue has its way right through the harbour to the river that can seem so far away from here. And now I fear my heart is drawing me into the grey of man's plain urban existence, that salt-free soundlessness I've always been, far from the heads, the sea, and its insistence. Sydney Harbour. Saltwater wander, way out with the ferries, floating, Sydney Harbour, boating bloated, high tide heaving up against the Sunday market crowds. They're weaving in and out the rocks, a circular quay to Opera House. I've been there, pressed into the tourist markets and the culture slave yards. Many tongues caressed my ears, but I was never near enough to hear the cries of a native society there dying. I believe these thieves that stole our souls won't profit. All their history goes out to sea again and leaves the rest of us alone, defending what we have become, pretending this is what we want. 3 empty masts spawn in, another ghost ship draws the Gurkhas over water, eyes torn from the seaside trinkets worn by conquerors for proof they've been here, wanderers not satisfied until they've seen each inch and touched the sands of every beach and tasted every foreign sea. Sometimes I feel the only one who shouldn't be here is me. Town Hall. An edifice to nothing were the words they never printed on a brass plaque where a building's lost its purpose in the sunshine. Dressed and undressed, layered sandstone pillars, antiques newly minted, sweeping staircase to grand entrance, suspect convict by design. In some administrator's office there's a view besmirched by pigeons, towered over by the neighbours who ignore the gargoyles' stares. Just below, the people gather for a rushed lunch in their legions, then renew conditioned comfort once again. Nobody cares. If there's a statue's dedication, it's forgotten in the hustle of the city's constant movement, in and out, a break that lies between. The sound of cars drown out the birds, the leaves sometimes a rustle, and the streets are swept each morning, though nobody keeps them clean. There's a hush comes on at midnight when the clock is softly waiting for the moment when the chimes ring out for nobody's attention. Then the gargoyles cry in silence for the pealing's dissipation on a building named with honour which nobody cares to mention. Junction Street Reserve. It's a middle-of-nowhere kind of place, grass in a cutaway corner of tar where a stream of constant cars can pass en route to not know where they are. There's a burnt-out building stands nearby with empty eyes, and no one cares. It sees the world go by, and I sit quietly, and we return the stares. The people who once lived here left, and there is nothing I can see to prove they knew what life was, and the voices in the street agree. The road leads somewhere else, it seems, and nobody is coming here. The shops are closed, the side streets broken, and the pavements always clear. A little patch of grass beneath the elevated railway grows, some trees that fight the air, some shade in summer, but the traffic flows as deadly as it's fast, not slow enough to notice what I see is going out of focus in this world, the crumbling of the inner city. But not content to pull it down, we leave it all to rust till dust, complaining of the eyesores in our wake. I wonder if that's just. Hornsby Park. Fresh fragrance. Spring glows, soft in colours, neat arrayed, away from nature's touch. Green shades stray over paths, their pallor offset by the rainbow-breasted pigeons passing on their guard. Some distant raucous voices cause a flutter in the trees, but things will settle with the breeze's warm and gentle touch, as every winged one sees the dangers passing on the grass, and follow for the odd discord. The flock flies in so swiftly they scare off some seeking magpies supping with the sparrows, taking flight into their stringy-bark great hideaways above me. Leaves press gently into service for a cover from the enemies that's wandered to another patch of possibilities. Sometimes I wonder if this bench, this island sanctuary in the park's small gardens, hidden where observant poets see the interchange of pecking order in the food chain, due to the numbers at the call when someone leaves a single morsel, reflects on me, the voyeur of society at large, more than it does on all I claim to see. The pigeons play upon the fountain, perched on rocks that won't get wet too often, sipping daintily the wind-swept drops, still fluid in their resting, while the magpies swoop on unsuspecting picnickers, strewn crumbs, and sparrows only hope there's something left them when their turn comes around. The shade shifts, lets some light down on the page, and makes me feel full warmth at hand, as if an age had surely passed since I arrived to write my lines defined in some small green and flowering island in suburbia, disturbing only one wild poet's mind. Fagin Park. Green Fagin, why is it you will always rain on me this way? Here shall I never see sweet sunshine stream down softly on your stagnant pools, reflect on summer rather than this grey-hewn gathering of fools, not so closely attuned, it seems, to rock-blocked short meandering streams and hazy days in poets' dreams. I hear your voice, soft wing calls hidden in the reeds, as mother feeds by example and father in passing pecks out inspiration in the brown grass stretched beneath a willow. Children wallow in the muddy, cloying clay, but follow like a train their parents' fear refrain. Have I become a danger? Only in the way I am a stranger to this place, as I trace soft and slippery paths away through native gardens, out of place as well. No one belongs in Fagin's half-forgotten farmland past, but now at last I see this once vast field pockmarked with inspiration, hope, and misplaced zeal as somehow perfect for this celebration of migration. No one here forever, as we all seek shelter from this faint christening of rain. Botanic Gardens. I used to eight-wheel through this place, then stop and rest for poetry, philosophy, the oily trace my skates left on the well-trod path, the ducks that held their sunny pond in feathered web-foot sanctity, the waves that rippled close beyond retaining walls. And I could laugh. Whatever calls me back can paint a grimmer picture than I'd drawn in casual observations, faint with age now, long forgotten too. The shadows overhang the water here, the children have all gone, and what I loved is only caught by the youth's compassion passing through. I never thought that I'd rely so much on sunny days alone, a sketch-pad and diary, trying to become an artist's name, and years of slowly dying forced me back into the world I'd known as vibrant once. It seems the course that we had chosen was the same. That slow decay that took hold here without my knowing still crept in to taint my soul, and we have wearied with the years we were apart. I've lost my art, the beauties passed with time we'd kept beneath the skin, till we are joined again at last, with memories in each other's heart. Perhaps in dreams I can return to find you whole again and hail, or else no artist gets to learn true vision till their powers fail. I'd best wrap up the episode there. I've still got a few more poems, and I'll tack them onto the beginning of the next episode to do with locations from that time period. Thank you for listening.